Show Has No Name. Game of Thrones, Season 7, Episode 6? Yes, Episode 6. So, as usual, things got crazy. This is our little show where we go around the horn. We have a timer 2-minute discussion on different topics throughout the show that we picked during the week. This week's show, there was really only 3 spots to talk about, so pretty easy choice. I do want to, guys, go around the group here again, have everybody kind of say a little bit about what they do on here. We don't do it every episode, but I know in particular Mr. Casey's going to miss the finale, which is a damn shame. But So yeah, Casey, if you just want to
Jordan's out.
Talk real quick about what you do since this is your last episode of the year.
Yeah, well, I do movie reviews on my channel, Movie Night, and talk Game of Thrones as well, weekly. That will be coming to an end at the end of the season, of course, but I will be on a motherfucking boat, so I'm going to miss this show, unfortunately, and have to watch the season finale on my computer in a hotel room, but poor planning on my part, but, you know, I also drink and I know things, so that's it.
Totally. Totally. Where can people find you? Find your stuff?
On Twitter, Movie Night 88, and you can check out my stuff there. I post everything through there, and you can hit me up anytime. Big movie nerd, and pretty much nerd about everything. So, yeah.
Cool. And the rest of us, it's the Games, Comics, and Culture crew, and Adam.
Plus Adam.
Yeah, totally. So,
because the only games I do are sports games.
Yeah, well, and we have you on when it's time to talk sports too.
Everybody's golf.
Yeah, next week. Yeah, well, that different show.
Y'all are going down.
So, first of all, topic 1 this week, we're going to talk about The Walk. So the Suicide Squad, their trek. We're going to have Casey kick it off.
All right, yeah, so The Walk was one of the funnest, like, fan servicey sort of scenes ever, or collage of scenes. I mean, we get to see characters reunite, characters who have also never met, but have all these other ties. You get Jon Snow talking to Jorah Mormont about his dad, and Longclaw, these amazing character moments between, like, totally badass characters like Tormund and the Hound, joshing each other. Of course, Tormund's, confessing his love for Brienne, and then the Hound being like, "You're talking about Brienne of fucking Tarth? Like, I already know her." And he's like, "Oh yeah, she'll see like you want to die." So yeah, oh yeah, you do know her. Like, just all these great little comedic moments and heartfelt moments, and I thought that was really important to do that because, it's just kind of like a refresher course of who all these characters are. Themselves, as well as in conjunction with each other and the greater story that's being told. And with all the crazy fuckery that was about to come, it was nice to kind of reunite with these guys, and I thought that it was smart too, because it gave you the sense of you didn't know how many of them were going to come back and who was safe and who wasn't. You're like, fuck, I like all of these characters. They all have so much lore and mythos, and it's just really, it almost gave you this false sense of security with your love for these characters, wondering if any of them were going to make it back. I mean, obviously some of them had to, but yeah, I loved the dialogue. I loved the acting, and the landscape was great. There's so many just great character interactions there that we've never had before on the show or in the books. So it was a really interesting scene, and I'd like to see a lot of those characters have more moments together in the future, but that might not be possible with all the impending fucking doom coming from north of the wall. So, yeah, I think we're going to get another scene very similar to it next episode in King's Landing, where we're going to see a lot of other characters like Jon Snow and Cersei talking, and that's going to be also very interesting in the same way, because it's stuff we've never seen before, only kind of had fan, nerd outs and thought about. So, yeah.
All right, Jeff.
Oh my God.
Oh, you changed your tone.
2 minutes is long.
So yeah, I mean, the Walk. At first I thought it was a summary of Lord of the Rings. All the movies just pushed into one because all they did was fucking walk everywhere. But as Casey put it, it gave time to fill in backstory, have other characters meet each other. And when you wear, giant fur coats, you don't know who's wearing a red shirt in this show.
Right.
Never know who's wearing a red shirt.
They're wearing hoods.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that their first encounter was that zombie polar bear. That was pretty pimp. That was pretty epic, and right then it was like, okay, well, who's first? Because you're like, are they going to kill him? Kill the bear right away? No, it's a zombie bear, which I think is almost as epic as what's later to come. But the conversation about Brianna Tarth was really interesting because you've known for a long time that Torma wants Brienne so bad, and she's like, who's this guy? But all in all, I knew that when Jon Snow tried to give Jorah Long Claw, it was not going to fly. One, he had already altered it from a bear to a wolf head, and Jorah, being a man of honor, knowing he dishonored his house, wasn't going to accept it. Man, Casey was really succinct about summing that up. Visually, I thought it was really epic. I know a lot of it was shot on green screen, but man, that was pretty epic. That it gave you the feeling of just vast frozen tundra, sort of like up here, up north.
Made you feel like home. All right, Corey, you're next.
All right. Yeah. I really liked the whole scene. All the guys talking. I think Tormund stole the show for sure. It started off with him and Gendry talks about fucking keeping you warm, and he said there's no ladies for miles and just make do with what you got. I thought that was hilarious. And he also talked to Jon about bending the knee. Jon was saying how he didn't want to, and Tormund said, you know, who was he talking about? The leader of the
Mance Raider.
Yeah, man.
Was he the leader of the wildlings?
Yep.
But yeah, see how many people he got killed, how many people died for his pride. Kind of gave Jon a reality shock. Hopefully, like, just tell him just to fucking do it. But and then of course with Brienne, his comments there were awesome. Yeah, I knew that Jon wouldn't be giving up the sword, or Jorah wouldn't accept it. I was wondering about that, but I figured he wouldn't. So, but overall, really good. We got to know the Top Knot guy a little bit more. He didn't have much time in the show, and I liked his comments about being wasted, not remembering running through, and who was it said they thought he was the bravest guy they'd ever seen. Jorah, yeah, and he didn't even remember it because he was so plastered. So it got us to bond with him a little bit before he fucking died. But yeah, I liked all of it. It's good stuff.
All right, Adam.
And you guys sum up things too good. 2 minutes on this is hard. I think the walk was great. It was, like you said, it was a good way to kind of start the show, as far as kind of hearing stories that took you back, what happened in other episodes, things you might have forgot. For the casual viewer like I am, where Jon Snow got the sword, that he met, what is the wolf or the hound? The hound. And Brienne had a fight, and just brought you back kind of those memories of things that happened in previous episodes and how they all ended up there together. I think that was very key for that episode to start that way before the prerogative, the shit hits the fan. I think, like you said, the zombie bear was probably the second most epic thing on that episode, as far as the CGI or whatnot was just awesome on that. How far do we get into the walk? The end of the walk, obviously, before the big battle starts. There were some key points there. I don't know if you want to tie it into the walk or the battle, but, before the battle starts, him taking out the lead White Walker and all the other ones kind of turning to dust. was kind of showed you. I don't think, if my memory serves me correct, you don't see that in any episode that, hey, you can kill all these other guys around by just killing the main one. I think that was a huge part of that, and will come into play into either not the next episode, but in the next season for sure. But I think overall, just a great scene and really tied everything together for that episode to start. I don't know how much time do I got left, Nate?
15 seconds.
Do you want me to sing a song?
You got 8 seconds. I can just count seconds.
There we go.
That's just not
We
really
got to
good
go down to 4.
All right. So
You want to suck my dick? Is that it? Cock.
turn
Oh,
here.
dick.
So I think you guys have hit all the great conversations there. The Brienne one was probably the best. I was surprised when they talked about fucking that they didn't somehow do a shout out to John's wildling sex while still in the black. Like I thought somehow that they would work that into the conversation a little bit, but they didn't.
I missed it.
The polar bear, it's so awesome. The scene when he's roasting on fire and the hound can't fight him was great. You know what I mean? The hound.
That was his Reek moment.
Yeah, perpetually afraid of flame. Really good stuff. And I felt like that was just a really good call out to what was coming later, if you're actually paying attention, which I wasn't. And then finally, I guess what you were talking about there, Adam, with the kind of the kingpin making everybody else fall. If I'm honest, I kind of am a little on the fence about how little, if you only watch the show, we all know Casey knows a lot more about the lore than the rest of us, but how little lore that we have on the White Walkers and the Whites, and the fact that now with only 7 episodes left, do we learn that basically you don't have to take out the whole army, you just have to take out one guy. And that really kind of changes everything, and just kind of, to me, I don't know, the way that it came up at the end here, I don't know if I'm totally happy about that placement. I just wish that lore was built in earlier to the story or whatnot. But yeah, interesting. We'll see where we go from here, and just a lot of fun. And everybody said it, but the landscapes were beautiful. Totally, just could have just watched those. It was like Revenant or something again.
Yeah.
All right,
That was a zombie bear.
Dirk.
Yeah, I think I don't know if I'm in the minority about, and I guess this connects to the plan to go beyond the wall to retrieve a white to bring back to Cersei. I'm not crazy about the plausibility of that plan, but it is what it is. And you got to merge those characters together. I guess it's a little fanfic-ish, but yeah, I think it was a great opening scene. It was probably I think one of the better scenes of the episode, just in terms of getting, you get Tormund and Sandor talking to each other, which is awesome in and of itself. There's a lot of weird, quirky little things that happen. So the polar bear gets taken down by Jorah Mormont, who's a bear from Bear Island.
Right. Right.
There's also the thing with Longclaw pops up, I guess, again when he's on the ice after having that whole discussion with the sword. And then the discussion with Beric and Jon, where they talk about death, being the end and everything. I don't know how that reflects in what's coming, or if it was just a precursor to the end of the episode. But there's a lot of awesome foreshadowing that was paced throughout the episode. That was great, particularly in this scene. Yeah, and it was funny as hell. I mean, it was gorgeous. Scenery was great. I think, again, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
All right. So next topic for this week is basically the Winterfell or Sansa Arya Littlefinger combination. Adam, sorry, you got to go first.
That's fine. This is the subject that I probably
Littlefoot.
researched the most out of it. This just when I watched it, it really perplexed me that the two sisters were fighting, Arya and Sansa. I couldn't understand it. I started doing my readings of people's things, and I think a lot of things made sense to me today of that I think Arya is just starting to play everybody.
Yep.
I think she keeps telling Sansa when they're in the room, we're playing a game. We're playing a game. And I really, looking back at the previous episodes, think that she's been playing that game since she got there. I think everything that she has done so far has been a setup. One of the key points being when Sansa walks in the room, the door creaks and makes a lot of noise. She shuts the door, and then all of a sudden Arya appears without a sound. I mean, so you know that she's got that stealth mode in her. So you've got to look at that Littlefoot. She had to have let Littlefoot follow her when she went and got that so that he could see that. The thing that perplexed me. Oh, Littlefinger. Sorry.
Not the Land Before Time.
And then the thing that I want to hear about more is from Bronn. He knows that Littlefinger was the one that started this all up with the stealth. Why has he not told Arya and Sansa already? Has he told Arya and he's only told her, and that's why she's doing this and starting this up? I'm really interested to see where Winterfell goes and how it all comes out at the end. I think at the end, Sansa and Arya are fine. Littlefinger's dead, and it's just that whole part of the story is really interesting to me and keeping me watching that part with intensely.
Yeah.
It's just she can't, for all of her travels, she can't be as dumb as letting him know it's all got to be a game for her.
Yeah. So I'm a little. I don't know. We'll see how they tie this up because, first of all, I feel like at this point, anytime you see Sansa and you don't see both of them, that she could be Arya. Wondering about the fact that Littlefinger advised Sansa to keep Brienne around, and the very next moment was her sending Brienne away. So either that, at face value, that points to devious motives on her part to try and fight Arya or whatnot, unless again this is all a ploy, and that was Arya listening to Littlefinger and sending Brienne away or whatnot. I feel that the base of, if they end this whole thing with that it's really the two of them fighting each other and that Littlefinger was the divisive point to them, then I'll be upset about it because they should both be smarter than that at this point in the story. And then if Arya is messing around and putting on faces and whatnot, then I'm curious, like, are they going to do a flashback or something to show what happened when it happened? Like, it's too confusing if they do it that way, the way that it's set up. So I don't know. When I see their argument with each other, I'm a little disappointed in it because the two of them should be smarter than that, and especially when Littlefinger's not around, so they're not just doing it on his behalf. So again, I feel like it's either overly complicated or overly simple. And either way, I don't like it, but I'm excited to see how they're gonna. I don't fear that they can't pull it off properly at the end when they do it. Yeah, everything else is so great about this show. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. Dirk.
Nice, that was perfect.
Yeah, I can see it. I got
great time.
I can cheat. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think what was amiss to me in these exchanges was that they hadn't seen each other like since season 1, season 2, I guess. Season 1, and they really didn't recap as much as they could have or exchange info with each other the way that you would expect two sisters that haven't seen each other in ages to do, especially with that much that's transpired. So there's something off there. Now, I'm hoping that the show ties it up, like you said, Nate, where because if it just plays out as is, it's a terrible way to end it. But I also think that possibly Arya knew that Littlefinger was tracking her, and she did that to throw him off. I mean, that's a possibility. I don't know if that's accurate, but it's definitely something to think about. And I don't know. It struck me as weird. It really depends upon how they tie it up. I think that's going to set, you'll look back at it and be like, oh, okay, I understand this now. So we'll see.
Yep.
Still got time, Dirk.
Keep going. You can talk about other stuff too. You can totally go off topic. You don't need to stick to the.
I mean, so why wouldn't she have asked more questions of her if that was the case? Like, if they hadn't seen each other in that period of time, why would Arya not have asked Sansa about, Ned's death or whatever? They kind of played on it, but not in the depth that you would have expected, two sisters that haven't seen each other in that long of a time to do.
All right, Casey.
All right, yeah, so Winterfell was crazy. Obviously, Arya starting off talking about a fond memory of her father and then going right into, it was really sad when the Lannisters killed him with your fucking help, and was like all over Sansa about the no. Sansa's kind of petrified. She might share with the Northern Lords because they were just saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't have picked Jon, maybe we should have picked you, and now this threatens everything. She's like, throwing Jon completely under the bus. He didn't win the Battle of Bastards. I won the Battle of Bastards with the Vale who fights for me. And every time, and later on when she finds this bag of faces, which she is surprisingly not as disgusted with as a normal person would have been for some reason, she also stands up and the first thing she says when she sees Arya is, I have hundreds of men who are loyal to me. She's terrified of her sister. I think if Arya is playing with her, she would have to be smart enough to outsmart Littlefinger. There are not many characters who are able to do that. However, there's two kind of factors here that I'm thinking about that could be Littlefinger's demise in the next episode. One is obviously do fucking nothing Bran, who's just sitting under his fucking tree doing nothing but... He warged one time the whole goddamn season.
Right.
And just looked at the Night King and was like, let's send a Raven to Jon and not tell him he's a fucking Targaryen. Whatever. And also, spends the rest of his time just watching his sister's rape on rerun so he can make creepy comments later. I don't know what he's doing for this fucking time. But something people forget about is when Arya was in the room with Tywin at Harrenhal in season 2, and he didn't know who she was, she saw Littlefinger there during the war, talking to Tywin, being friends with Tywin. So she could throw him under the bus with just that alone. They don't need Bran to go to have a fucking vision of him putting the knife to Ned's throat. His fucking undoing could be a million different ways. There's a lot of characters who know how much of a piece of shit he is. He's going to die next episode, and if he doesn't, I'll be very fucking surprised. The way I see it happening is either Arya is that smart or something will come to fruition through Bran that will dismiss the feud between the sisters and kill Littlefinger.
All right,
Nice.
Jeff.
No, I think Arya knows what she's doing. I really do. And to answer Dirk's comments, they've had enough time to talk off camera, and I think as much as we've talked about time compression in the past with this season particularly, I know how Dirk feels about time compression, and specifically in this episode about ravens flying thousands of miles.
Distances, right.
But, they got to compress it enough that they did cover that in previous episode when Arya first gets to Winterfell and the sisters talk, and they pretty much tell each other they had really shitty experiences and left it at that. It just implies that they will talk later. But Arya is, I think, purposely scaring Sansa to see if she does run to Littlefinger and tell him about the faces, that she serves a faceless god. She may not. I mean, I almost thought, just Game of Thrones, I thought Arya was just going to gut Sansa like a fish, take her face, and rule the roost.
Yeah.
But they were never, you look back, they were never that they never had that sisterly bond, because Arya pretty much says that, where I wanted to sit there and shoot arrows.
Yeah, that was from day one. Yep.
And Dad approved of it, that I was shooting arrows, and you were just going to be the little girl that was the princess and the queen of some handsome king or a sadistic bastard, and
Or two.
And I think that I do agree that Bran needs to come in, because they haven't kept him alive for 7 seasons. Just sit underneath the damn tree all the time and have a wheelchair with no Hodor. I think that I think Arya. I really have this feeling that Arya and Sansa are going to be the demise of Littlefinger, or Littlefoot, as Adam likes to call him.
Littlefoot.
Corey. Wrap it up.
Great. So, yeah. I mean, I kind of agree with you, Nate. It's I really hope that they're not honestly fighting like this. Like, I feel like they're. I hope it's not that simple. But yeah, I feel like Arya's getting played too easy by Littlefinger, or like everybody's saying, they would have, as sisters, they would have talked enough before her finding that note to know that she was obviously didn't like Joffrey or the Lannisters, was not doing that willingly. Yeah, I mean, I thought she was way too pissed. I thought it was stupid how much they were so pissed at each other, and I mean, I get that they didn't like each other when they were younger, but you know, they're older and more mature now, you know, whatever, they're sisters, let's be Stark sisters together. But yeah, I feel like hopefully Arya's just playing Littlefinger, acting like that, so that you know he's got to be snooping in a corner somewhere, listening to everything they're saying, and she, you know, I think she wants to do what he wants her to do, so he thinks he's got her, so they can find out what he's trying to do, hopefully. But yeah, and also, like everybody else is saying, where's Bran? I mean, we've been talking about, as soon as Bran came into play, everybody's been like, well, Littlefinger's fucked now, and he hasn't done shit. I mean, he's just been, like everybody said, under the tree, not doing anything. So, he could be a lot of help. Obviously, he's not concerned. But.
All right. Final topic of the show is the final confrontation. Dirk, you get the honors.
All right. I think I mentioned earlier there were 2 instances in the book where they reference ice dragons, so this was always sort of on the wall as an idea. I think when I saw the spear, I sort of knew where it was going. I didn't want it to happen, but me and my wife were both horrified when it actually went down, even knowing what was probably going to happen. That was, even though I had some disagreements with the episode as a whole and the time structure and the sort of plot issues, that battle scene was up there in probably top 5 GOT lore. All the way from when they're standing on the ice with the lack of music and just all of the White Walkers and dead standing around them, all the way up until the eye opens and you see the blue. Just incredible all the way throughout. Also, forgot to mention earlier, R.I.P. Thoros of Myr, and possibly R.I.P. Cold Hands. I guess we don't actually see what happens. We just kind of figure that that's how he goes down. I thought, even, I mean, with the glaring issues that it had, I mean, I stood up the entire time, sort of like geeked out, watching it, not believing what was going down. Also, I don't know if they're trying to force Danny and John. It's a little too rushed for me, and I know that we have time constraints again, but if that relationship had been drawn out a little bit more, I would have been, better.
Casey?
I will require 4 minutes for this. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, this shit is ridiculous. All the way from them catching the white, it's screaming, so obviously they can vocalize to like their masters. The storm starts coming. They're on the frozen lake. Gendry runs off. We can skip all that shit. Ravens, don't go. Danny's gonna go. She's already got a sweet ass winter outfit just in case.
Yeah.
So I mean, that shit was fierce as fuck. So yeah, she goes north. I mean, it's Deus Ex Dragona. They get saved the last fucking second after the Hound stupidly throws rocks and shows them, oh yeah, that it's frozen over again. Rest in peace, Thoros Amir. Rest in peace, Uncle Benjen, and rest in peace, Viserion. Or maybe not quite resting in that much peace, but yeah, crazy implications episode. What we talked about earlier with you kill the White Walker, all the dead it turned to die. Kind of a Phantom Menace-y where the whole army could go down if you kill the big switch at the top or whatever. It could have some really interesting implications, but we also don't know if the Night King can die the same way a White Walker. He might be way harder to kill, so it remains to be seen. The fights were amazing. I mean, when Tormund almost died, I was like screaming at the television. I mean, he had the thing to his throat. He's getting pulled down in the water. I was like, are you fucking kidding? Tormund? No. I was so fucking upset. And then the Hound saves him. Like, thank God for the fucking Hound. Viserion going down was heartbreaking. That sound that it made, the other dragons made, the look on Danny's face, so heartbreaking. And obviously they had a bunch of chains laying around too. They pulled the fucker out. Turn him. He's not a white dragon unless he does this. He's a White Walker, just like the babies that he touched. So that means that he needs dragon glass. And I think that big ballista thing is going to have a 6-foot dragon glass spear. And that's how they're going to take that fucker down. Or Bran could warg it. That'd be pretty impressive too. Do I still have more time?
I didn't think about that.
2 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be some way to take it down. It could be Bran warging it. It could be the dragon glass spear. I mean, or like Jon Snow jumping off another dragon and just like plunging Bran into his fucking heart.
No 4 minutes. You don't get 4 minutes. Okay. Jeff?
Okay. I didn't hear it. Sorry.
That's cool. Hey, no, I mean, that leaves me room to talk about Benjen with his flaming flail +3.
Yeah.
It was pretty epic. What I expected, I knew that Danny was going to go in and save the day because it was just I could feel the tension. I knew that some people had to die, and it is sad always. But Danny to save them all, and then leave John there. And when he fell in the water, I knew he wasn't going to die because for some reason in this season, people wearing thousands of clothes that are either frozen or full mail or full plate can swim up and just be bright as rain. And so I knew that John was going to survive that. But the dragon scene was epic. I thought Kona Cold. The minute that dragon fell in the water, absolutely. I thought Kona Cold. I was like, very D&D. the fire flail and Benjen saving him was, I think, just a way to fill in a gap to like, how the fuck are we going to save John? Because literally, I thought the dragon was going to come back at the last minute, and John was going to ride the dragon like a true Targaryen, and that was going to be the huge reveal that no one was expecting. And he just rode off on a horse.
That sounds too pleasant.
I guess, but I guess, I mean, they really pushed the Danny and John hooking up where she's waiting on the wall for him. And then when he's in the cabin on the ship and they cut his clothes off, which I'm glad that they showed them cutting off frozen clothes, but I think at that time they would have thawed out enough and not be frozen. When he called her Danny, the look on her face was, I thought she was going to rape him right there. I really did, because she's like, no one's called me Danny in forever.
Corey made me think of my brother. Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, totally awesome. I did have. I thought it was kind of weird how the whole thing went down. I mean, once it started, obviously the whole battle is totally awesome. But I just don't get how that ice was so thin, being north of the wall. Like that shit should be feet
Yeah.
thick. I mean, how did
Yeah.
that just crack? And then once it did actually crack, and they were surrounded by a 3-foot break in the ice, how did that stop the whole army of whites? And especially when we know the lead White Walker guy can freeze water. We've seen him do
True.
it before. So how did that stop them for days or however long it was from jumping that 3-foot little gap in the ice? So I thought that was kind of weird. I mean, it did add to the intimidation, having them being surrounded, but I just thought they could have done it differently. I thought it was a weird way for them to all get surrounded by the whites and the White Walkers. But once that ended, watching the dragon go down was obviously, real sad. I mean, it was awesome how the Night King?
Yep.
Yes.
How he just tossed the spear up there, just like and just took him out, and no problem. Wasn't even nervous. I mean, yeah, it was. I didn't, for some reason, think about the dragon coming back when that happened. I was like, fuck. Like, I, for some reason, didn't see that coming. I don't know why they went with the John fake out. We knew he's not going to die there, but
Yeah.
Uncle Benjamin to the rescue.
All right, yeah, I mean, I think everybody covered pretty much everything. It was a pretty epic scene. Mad props to my wife who watches this with me. She called pretty much everything that happened with the ice breaking and all that stuff. I was very impressed with that, even to the point of the dragon getting pulled out. I think the biggest scene for me on that was the ending scene with Danny and John and him kind of talking about how he was ready to bend the knee if he could, but then Danny not just accepting it, kind of coming back at him, well, what about the people that follow you? What are they going to think? And I think that really leads to more things to come, obviously. One of the main important parts of that for me was that ending. I think you guys hit it on the head, the way the guy just threw the javelin, nonchalantly hit the dragon, killed it. That was pretty epic and kind of a wow moment. So you kind of get, in this episode, for me, you kind of get the two wow moments of the White Walker King being able to just do that, but also finding out that you can just kill the main one and all the other ones die with them. So I think you kind of get a little bit on both sides, kind of powering both sides up a little bit in that short little part there. It was just an epic scene. You always, like you guys said, you always hate seeing people die. To me, I think that adds to the show. I wait for it. I can't wait to see which next main character is going to be gone and how they do it. Time restraints. I think, when we go back to talk about Arya and Sansa and all these things and the time restraints, I think HBO has to have a good plan, or these guys have to have a good plan for this show, because the money that they have to make this show, the money that this show is making, they didn't have to do it on this time constraint, in my opinion. They could have easily done more episodes, so I think big things are coming.
All right.
Do we think it's weirder with Danny being his aunt? I think that's weirder than cousins, but not as weird as like brother and sister.
All right.
But isn't he older than Danny?
He's older, but she's his aunt.
Hold on,
Yeah.
it's
They're the
not
same
kids
age.
yet.
No.
Yeah, I still get my 2 minutes. Then it's
Oh, yeah.
So
I blame Corey.
I was just gonna say, like, I think everybody one by one stole my talking points all the way around. I do find it shocking at this point that nobody died. That in that final fight that we didn't lose one of those guys.
Should have.
Is this Game of Thrones or what is this? Like, I'm shocked that we didn't lose somebody there. The other thing is, super important. Adam, I think you nailed it. He said he'd bend the knee, but he still hasn't done it.
Well, he did it. He told her his allegiance is to her now.
He said, right, but I think...
He said, my queen.
Yeah, I still don't.
He just couldn't
think-
physically do it.
I think when everything comes to light about who he is and where they place against each other, that they've been very deliberate about him not getting down on the knee in front of her, taking a pledge yet. I think that's deliberate to this point. And then I likewise when the dragon died, I didn't even think about it. As soon as I saw the chain, I was like, oh fuck, here we go, because they. Up until this point, every thought that I had was, okay, once, and especially after Dany just ravaged Jaime and the Lannister army, said all she's got to do is see these guys just go up and roast them, and then we're good to go. We're out of here. Let's go take the kingdom or whatever. And yeah, clearly not the case. The Night King, no panic, no nothing, just took a step back.
Love it.
He was so chill.
Yeah, completely chill. Doesn't, not afraid of those dragons, and now he has one. So the big thing is, next episode, clearly we're all getting all the leaders together to talk about this. Does he show up on the dragon to that meeting and start chit-chatting with everybody?
He's gonna burn
my
that wall
big
down,
question. That's my big question.
Cold.
All right.
But we think the
now
dragon's
you
gonna
guys
breathe
talk
ice,
about,
not burn.
Dude, he didn't even flinch when he threw that jab. He didn't even go like domino, motherfucker.
He's
He just
incredible.
was like,
Dude, if there was one of those white giants we saw earlier in the season there, they'd all have been dead. They would have never stopped one of those white giants.
Right.
There's just
Right. Well,
just
where
the
were
6
they?
of them.
Yeah, not there.
Was
but
that
I think
They
the
must
white
have
giant would
multiple
have fell
armies.
through the ice.
Okay, yeah.
That
that's-
wasn't the whole army. It couldn't
Right,
be.
that's just a small chunk of them. Two things, just quick addendums. The score was incredible, especially when the dragons came in with
Swooped
the
in,
flames.
yeah.
That score right there was gorgeous. Also, we didn't touch upon the talk of succession of
Right.
Danny's.
Yeah, Danny.
Yeah,
and
I thought
Tyrion.
that was interesting too. There's some hints at like what are they going to actually do? She didn't even think that far ahead.
Yeah.
Well, she doesn't know she's
Well, I
second
agree
in
with
line.
her. She's
either.
not-
She doesn't know.
Right.
She doesn't know John's first in line, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
can
so-
she even have kids? I mean, she mentions that the dragons
can't have
children. Right.
Yeah,
So,
Dothraki fucked that shit up.
yeah.
And it won't matter because the White Walkers are going
It's
to
gonna
win.
be Gendry, and Gendry's taking the throne. That's my.
I didn't even talk
So,
about
I
Gendry.
got one question as the casual viewer. When they were fighting the I'll call them the zombie White Walkers or whatnot,
Whites.
not everyone had Dragonstone
Whites.
swords, and they were still killing them. So is it only the main?
Oh, dragon glass. Why didn't they take dragon glass? Did
Or
they
Drake-
have dragon glass on them?
I think
they
they
did.
can,
Looked like
they can
Andrew's
kill a white by
hammer.
chopping it into small pieces or burning it. Or killing
Yeah.
it with Valyrian steel or dragon glass. But if you don't have that, you can chop it into little pieces and it'll still die.
Yeah, they came.
Did nobody have
they
any?
came from the mine, right? They must
Yeah.
have had.
Well, they didn't
Why
have
didn't
time
they
to mine
all
it yet.
have the weapons?
Yeah.
Jorah had
right.
some. Jorah had
Yeah.
some. I saw it. And,
Yeah, he had the two double sword things.
and
Dude, they
only
weren't.
fighting
There's no
minions.
way they were using them because they were like fighting them. Multiple fights and happening for a long time. If it was dragon glass, they'd be taking them out left and right.
Just shattering.
Well, the Hound had that hammer, and then he pulled something out of his shirt and started using that to stab him.
Yeah.
It looked kind of weird. I don't know what it was, like a hatchet
Well,
or
he
something.
got rid of the hammer because it was too slow, and he wanted to get quicker.
Right.
But
Yeah.
but think about, I mean, when they killed the bear, it,
That
it
shouldn't
does
have taken
just
so long.
no, it shouldn't have.
No.
They should have
They
all
sh-
been swinging on that thing. Like one guy swang at a time.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, nope,
right.
nope.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
So
thanks,
the
everybody.
only other
What?
one more thing,
Go ahead.
one more, because I forgot because I was so happy about Arya and Sansa. Go back and look at the episode. The other reason why I think that the sisters have some type of plan already is when they're talking, you'll hear Arya and sometimes Sansa actually speaking louder during parts of that to kind of get their voice out there for anybody that is listening. If you watch it, you'll be able to see that a little bit. So just my
Well, we should put
Oh,
Adam's
wow.
wife on the line here. 10 times smarter than me.
All right. Now I gotta go. Everybody,
All right.
Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Thank you for
Gotta
joining
end.
us, Casey.
Gendry for king.
Casey, thank you for
Later.
joining us this season. We'll definitely have you a part of
Yeah,
this next
it's gonna
year.
suck without
Hell
you
yeah.
next week.
Yep.
We should talk
Yeah.
after the season's over about predictions of next
Recap.
coming.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't forget to watch Labyrinth Lifers.
Might as well. Everybody,
Later.
All right.
bye.
Later.